what's cracking YouTube? Faison here. Master Duel's out. Game's great. I've been a little busy with school, so I haven't had much opportunity to play the TCG recently, but this is a nice breath of fresh air. I was able to get Platinum 1 in 2 days. I wasn't able to play the day of release, so I was grinding it immediately as I was able to. But yeah, Eldlich is obviously a tier 1 contender in this deck alongside Drytron. I would say those are the two best decks, but I feel like there's argument for more. I definitely took more of a TCG approach to this deck rather than the OCG stuff with Reasoning and Eldlich at 3 and like the Golden Land Forever trap card. Mostly just because I was more comfortable with it. And I found that in the mirror match, when my opponent was playing the OCG meta, especially if they resolved a Reasoning, they would get rid of some of their trap cards off the bat, and I would win the grind game every time if they ever resolved that card. So I think that for now, this is probably the better way to play it, but I'm willing to test it, and I don't feel super strongly either way. But yeah, let's get right into the list. Playing the two Lava Golems, I was playing it at 3 originally. I found that I was breaking on it way too hard, and I would rather have just more trap cards. One Lava Golem is not enough because I was never seeing it, so two's been working out for me. I think you have to be playing it in the main, unfortunately. I don't love the card, but Drytron ends on 6 negates and Benten's at 3. The deck is just way too strong, and this is one of the few outs your deck has, except for Solemn Strike, which I'm only playing the one of, which I'll explain as we get more into it. 2 Lord, again, I could easily up it to 3. I even have the third one. It's just that I don't know if I like 3 yet. We're playing the 3 Demise because it's at 3, card's great, and the 3 Pot of Extravagance. While these two cards do conflict with each other, almost everyone's running Ash Blossom right now to get rid of Max C as well as just generic anti-draw stuff. So I find that I often lead in with an Extravagance for 6, and then they'll Ash Blossom, and then I can resolve the Demise afterwards, so I still get that plus, which is super crucial. 2 Cursed Outland, I hate the card, but I have to play it, and it's super, super important in the mirror match. 3 Torrential Tribute, don't need to explain it. The 1 Trap Trick, this is literally the 40th card. I wouldn't up it personally just because I'm only playing like 3 cards I can search off of it. 4 if you count the Sanguine, but in this version of the deck, I don't find that I ever need to be getting to Sanguine because I'm playing the Outlands. The 2 Punishment, obviously a terrific card. Entis and the Wind Pegasus are my favorite cards to send off of it, but we'll get into that as we get into the extra deck. 3 Ice Dragon's Prison, I'm only playing this at 2 in the TCG, but with how much Eldlich is running around in Master Duel, I find that Ice Dragon's Prison is super important in this version of the game. So oftentimes, if they send Eldlich to grave with his effect going second, you can IDP it out of the grave immediately, and it just messes up their whole turn. The 3 Judgment and 1 Strike. The reason I decided to go with these ratios, first of all, is because so many of these free-to-play players have the Lightning Storm that you get off of the bundle, so you're randomly getting Lightning Stormed in situations where you wouldn't expect to be seeing it. On top of that, with Skill Drain at 3, I don't find that Monster Negation is something that I'm struggling to find my way to, whereas Spell Trap Negation is. So with these ratios, I end up with 3 Judgments and the 1 IO, giving me 4 forms of Spell Negation, and I guess 3 forms of Trap Negation. And then on top of that, I'm playing the 3 Skill Drain and 1 Strike for 4 forms of Monster Effect Negation. The reason I'm not just playing more strikes, because obviously Strike is better than Skill Drain, is I find that resolving multiple strikes and multiple judgments in the same game, it gets to be very dicey in terms of life points. Whereas Skill Drain, once you resolve it once, you can generally leave it on board because a lot of times people just can't out it. So you only have to pay that 1,000 once rather than paying 1,500 3 times. The 1 Vanity's Emptiness, I cannot believe this card is legal. It's super broken, and every time I draw it, I win. The 2 Tikaboos, I was originally playing Gozen, because I think Gozen has pretty good coverage in the TCG, but in this version of the game, I find that it's very, very lackluster, with Drytron being arguably the best deck and one of the highest representation decks in Platinum. Gozen does nothing to that deck. Quite literally, almost every card they run is a light monster, and they're able to play full combo under Gozen. Whereas Tikaboo messes up almost every deck in the format. Obviously, it does slow down your deck as well, but you can always get rid of it on your own terms with Lord Ingrave. And then to round it out, we're playing the 2 Hawk Hero, 3 Conquistador. Overall, like I said, I'm pretty happy with this deck. I could definitely see myself changing a few things here and there. The Golden Land Forever Trap card I think might be a good option, and I could run more strikes and get rid of a Judgment, and maybe cut Skill Drain to 2 for room for another Tikaboo, and that way I just have better disbursement of my cards, I guess, in terms of what they aim to do. Whether it be to like lock out my opponent before they start with cards like Tikaboo, or preventing monster effects like Skill Drain and Strike. But yeah, going on to the extra deck, we're playing the 1 Entis. Card's amazing. I might up it to 2. Mechaba is used alongside Nova when they use Maximus to set up your own negate and plus off of their Maximus effect. I have not seen Invoke Dogmatica once, especially since hitting Plat, so I don't think I'll be playing these anymore unless the deck gains more popularity, and I'll find room for an extra Entis and maybe an extra, like, Gustav or something. The 1 Wind Pegasus Adagnister. I love this card, especially early game, because if you use Punishment early in the game on one card when you don't need to get rid of a second with Entis, a lot of players will forget that there's a Wind Pegasus in grave and you can randomly make them neg later in the game. 1 Pleiades. I'm not a huge fan of this card in the TCG, but in Master Duel it's been performing super well. I think the game is a lot slower than what we're accustomed to, with the exception of probably Drytron. Because there's so many floodgates in the game, you can keep your traps on board for multiple turns, which is not a luxury available in the TCG. And so I find that I'm able to get into Pleiades quite often. Like I said, Nova is bad. I'm definitely cutting it. Gustav, card is pretty good. There's definitely situations where I was able to close out games with that extra 2,000 because an Eldlich summon through Sanguine the turn prior, and an Eldlich summon through its own effect that turn is a total of 6,000 damage, and then the extra 2,000 will give you perfect game. Zeus, I haven't needed to summon it yet. I would probably keep it just because I think that there's many situations in which it does come up, even if it's not coming up in Master Duel for me right now. The Link Spider and the Imduck, just a way to get your traps off board. Cerberus, Phoenix, and the Unicorn over here, just great for removal. The Cerberus and Phoenix, you can link climb and use their effects, getting you to a 4300 access code and drawing cards off of their co-linked effects. So overall, I think the cards are fantastic and I wouldn't cut them. Win the Wind Charmer. I play this card in the TCG to get the Baron de Fleur back from Graveyard oftentimes, but it has been severely underperforming because there's just not that much wind in the current meta of Master Duel. I'll probably cut it as I figure out stuff that I need more. Lina, card's great, lets you revive light monsters if they use like a Veiler or something randomly, or get rid of their Veiler more likely. It lets you bring that back. Against Drytron, you can often revive their Xyz monster or a properly summoned ritual monster, so it works out. And then Unicorn, like I said, just for removal and climbing into access code. Climbing into access code with Unicorn plus an Eldlich summoned with its own effect in grave gives you, I believe, 8,800 damage, something like that. And it gets you to random OTKs that people aren't expecting. So overall, I think the combo is really good. Like I said, the extra deck needs a little bit of work here and there. Overall, Eldlich is a deck that doesn't go into its extra too often, so I don't find that the inefficiencies in the current list are super obvious or what to replace them with. So as I get to experiment with it more, I'll be switching it up. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. Let me know what you guys are playing, and stick around, because as soon as they release more ranks, I am definitely trying to climb past Diamond into whatever they make after that. But yeah, catch you guys later.